What secrets lie untold when someone close to a royal icon finally decides to speak? Lady Sarah McCorquodale, Princess Diana's elder sister, has broken her silence in a way that has sent shockwaves through the public and the monarchy alike. Her heartfelt revelations unveil hidden truths about Diana's life, her struggles, and the pressures that ultimately defined her journey. Why has Sarah chosen this moment to share these deeply personal insights? What does her perspective reveal about Diana's battles behind the royal curtain? And how might these revelations reshape the way we remember the people's princess? Join us as we explore the untold story of Diana through the eyes of the sister who stood by her side. For years, speculation surrounded Diana's relationship with the royal family, and now Sarah has openly acknowledged that some of those rumors were rooted in truth. She spoke of a young woman thrust into an environment that, while grand, could also be unforgiving. Diana's warm, approachable nature, which endeared her to millions around the world, was not always celebrated within the palace walls. Instead, it often set her apart in ways that were difficult for her to reconcile. Sarah's candid remarks painted a vivid picture of a sister navigating a life that was both dazzling and deeply challenging. Sarah recalled the intense media scrutiny Diana faced, a pressure that began even before her marriage to Prince Charles. She described how, as a teenager, Diana was thrust into the public eye, expected to fulfill a role that came with little guidance and immense expectations. While Diana was adored by the public for her relatability and charm, Sarah revealed how those same qualities sometimes clashed with the rigid traditions of royal life. The palace, Sarah explained, was a world governed by decorum and duty, leaving little room for the emotional vulnerability Diana wore so openly. Despite their differences, the bond between Diana and Sarah was undeniable. As the eldest of the Spencer siblings, Sarah often took on the role of protector, especially in Diana's younger years. Growing up in the grandeur of Althorpe Estate, their childhoods were filled with privilege, but also with the weight of aristocratic expectations. Sarah was the steady, composed one, while Diana, with her free spirit and innate empathy, was often seen as the dreamer. This dynamic carried into adulthood, where Sarah tried to offer her younger sister guidance as Diana navigated the labyrinth of royal life. Their relationship, however, was not without its complications. Sarah revealed that, like any siblings, they had their moments of tension, particularly as Diana's star rose and her life became increasingly scrutinized. Yet Sarah's admiration for her sister's strength was evident as she recounted Diana's ability to persevere through public scrutiny and private heartache. She spoke of moments when Diana confided in her, seeking solace from a life that, while enviable to many, was often isolating to the woman living it. What makes Sarah's recent revelation so impactful is her willingness to expose not only Diana's struggles, but also the environment that contributed to them. She confirmed that Diana's feelings of isolation were not just a product of media intrusion, but also stemmed from the interpersonal dynamics within the royal family. Sarah's words hinted at a lack of emotional support that left Diana searching for connection and belonging elsewhere. This search, Sarah explained, was a driving force behind Diana's relentless dedication to her humanitarian work, which became a source of personal fulfillment amidst the turmoil. Sarah's emotional account extended beyond the hardships, emphasizing the light Diana brought to the world despite the shadows in her own life. She spoke of Diana's profound impact on people from all walks of life, her ability to connect with those often overlooked by society, and her genuine desire to make a difference. For Sarah, these qualities are the essence of Diana's legacy, a legacy she has worked tirelessly to preserve. The timing of Sarah's revelations has sparked questions about why she chose to speak out now. Some speculate that it's an attempt to remind the world of Diana's humanity, a counterbalance to the endless stream of headlines and documentaries that often sensationalized her story. Others see it as a cathartic act, a way for Sarah to honor her sister's memory while addressing the truths that have remained unspoken for decades. Whatever the reason, Sarah's words have reignited global interest in Diana's life and legacy, inviting fresh discussions about the challenges she faced and the strength she displayed in overcoming them. They remind us that behind the public persona of a princess was a woman who, like anyone, struggled to find her place in the world. A woman who, despite it all, left an indelible mark on the hearts of millions. Lady Sarah McCorquodale's revelation has reignited curiosity about the life Diana led before stepping into the global spotlight. To understand the pressures Diana faced, it's crucial to examine the world she grew up in and the familial bonds that shaped her. The Spencer family was no ordinary aristocratic household. Their legacy was steeped in history, wealth, and societal expectations. Their ancestral home, Althorpe Estate, with its vast lands and storied halls, provided a backdrop of privilege, but also imposed an invisible burden on the Spencer children. As the eldest, Sarah bore the weight of responsibility early on. She was the dependable one, the example setter, while her younger siblings, including Diana, looked up to her. Their childhood was filled with both the joys of an idyllic upbringing and the challenges that came with carrying a name as significant as Spencer. Diana, the youngest daughter, was known for her vivacious and empathetic nature, which often set her apart. She gravitated toward people, forming connections easily, even as a child. Sarah, in contrast, was more reserved, choosing to stay out of the limelight, a quality that would later define their relationship as adults. The bond between the Spencer sisters was deeply rooted in their shared experiences. Growing up under the scrutiny of a social circle that valued perfection, they learned to rely on one another for emotional support. While Sarah thrived in her role as the reliable eldest, Diana often sought solace in her sister's composure and maturity. Yet their paths were destined to diverge in ways neither could have anticipated. When Sarah was briefly linked romantically with Prince Charles, it seemed like an ordinary chapter in the life of a well-connected aristocrat. The press took notice, but Sarah herself didn't see the relationship as serious. She would later famously quip that it wouldn't matter if Charles were a king or a commoner. She wasn't interested in a long-term commitment. Despite this, her brief connection with the future king inadvertently opened a door for Diana, one that would alter the course of her life. The day Charles visited Althorpe Estate, Sarah introduced him to a then 16-year-old Diana. The meeting was casual, almost forgettable at the time. Charles was nursing a broken heart and mourning the loss of a close mentor, while Diana was a shy teenager who barely spoke during their encounter. Sarah likely didn't realize the significance of that moment, nor could she have predicted the events it would set into motion. It was this unassuming introduction that laid the foundation for one of the most scrutinized relationships in modern history. As Charles and Diana's paths crossed again years later, their connection began to grow. Diana's natural warmth and youthful innocence offered a refreshing change for the prince, who was under immense pressure to find a suitable bride. For Diana, Charles represented the fairy tale ideal, a prince who could sweep her off her feet and offer her the life of a princess she had read about as a child. But reality rarely aligns with fantasy, and their courtship, while swift and enchanting on the surface, masked deeper complexities. Sarah, watching from the sidelines, was both supportive and cautious. Having experienced royal life in her brief association with Charles, she understood the challenges Diana would face, but likely couldn't have predicted the scale of them. Diana, at just 19, was thrust into an environment that demanded perfection, obedience, and adherence to traditions that left little room for individuality. While she gained the adoration of millions, she also became a target for relentless media scrutiny, a reality that began long before her wedding day. Sarah's role during this time was multifaceted. As Diana prepared for her new life, Sarah remained a sounding board, offering advice and encouragement. However, as Diana's fame grew, their relationship began to evolve. Sarah's natural inclination to stay out of the spotlight contrasted with Diana's increasing visibility, creating a subtle tension between the sisters. Diana's rise to global prominence meant that her every move was documented and dissected, a level of attention that inevitably impacted her relationship with her family. Despite these shifts, Sarah remained a pillar of support during Diana's most challenging moments. In private, Diana confided in her about the pressures of royal life and the isolation she often felt within the palace. Sarah, who had always been the steady presence in Diana's life, found herself navigating the delicate balance between being a sister and a confidant. The complexities of their relationship mirrored the larger struggles Diana faced, torn between duty and self-expression, tradition and change. The public, enamored by Diana's charisma and compassion, often overlooked the toll her new role took on her relationships, including those with her siblings. Yet Sarah's influence remained. even if it was less visible than the whirlwind of Diana's public life. Sarah's understanding of the aristocratic world, coupled with her first-hand experience of royal pressures, positioned her uniquely as someone who could empathize with Diana's challenges while offering a grounded perspective. As Diana's life with Charles unfolded, the fairy tale began to show cracks. Their marriage, so celebrated in the media, was fraught with misunderstandings, conflicting expectations, and external pressures. While Diana's struggles with the royal family became increasingly public, Sarah's support remained navigated the dualities of being a global icon and a deeply vulnerable individual. Their bond, though tested by distance and circumstance, persisted as a reminder of their shared history and the resilience they both possessed. As Diana's relationship with Charles deepened, so did the complexities surrounding her entry into the royal family. The world watched with fascination as their courtship unfolded, culminating in an engagement that seemed plucked from a storybook. For Diana, the moment marked the beginning of a life she had only imagined, a world of tiaras, castles, and royal duties. Yet beneath the glamour lay a stark reality, a life governed by rigid expectations and relentless public scrutiny. Sarah, ever the steady older sister, observed Diana's transformation from a shy teenager to the future Princess of Wales with a mix of pride and concern. She had seen glimpses of the challenges Diana might face and tried in her own way to prepare her. But nothing could have fully equipped Diana for the scale of what lay ahead. The whirlwind surrounding her engagement was only the beginning of a journey that would bring unimaginable highs and crushing lows. As the wedding day approached, the excitement of the public reached fever pitch. Diana was adored by millions, her image plastered across magazine covers and television screens. She was seen as the perfect bride, a fresh, relatable figure who embodied hope and modernity for the monarchy. But Sarah later revealed that behind the scenes, Diana was grappling with doubts and fears. The weight of her new role, combined with the demands of a royal wedding watched by the entire world, was overwhelming. Diana confided in Sarah during this time, sharing her anxieties about stepping into a life she could barely comprehend. The wedding itself was a spectacle of grandeur, watched by over 750 million people globally. Diana's iconic dress, with its dramatic train and intricate detailing, became a symbol of the fairy tale everyone wanted to believe in. Yet, as Sarah would later recount, the reality was far less enchanting. While the ceremony was flawless in its execution, it marked the beginning of a marriage that was anything but perfect. Diana's unease during the lead-up to the wedding was a precursor to the struggles she would face in her life with Charles. Sarah's perspective on the early years of Diana's marriage offers a rare glimpse into the challenges her sister endured. While the public saw a radiant princess, Sarah saw a young woman trying to navigate an unfamiliar and often isolating world. Diana's natural warmth and charisma endeared her to the public, but these same qualities sometimes set her apart within the royal household. Sarah revealed that Diana often felt out of place in the structured environment of the palace, where emotions were rarely expressed openly and individuality was often stifled. One of the earliest cracks in Diana and Charles's marriage came from their differing personalities and priorities. While Diana thrived on connecting with people and using her platform to advocate for causes close to her heart, Charles was more reserved, focused on traditional royal duties and his own interests. Sarah described how this disconnect began to create tension between the couple, compounded by the intense media scrutiny that followed their every move. For Diana, the constant presence of the press was both a blessing and a curse. It amplified her voice and allowed her to shine a light on important issues, but it also left her with little privacy. Sarah later spoke about how this relentless attention took a toll on Diana's mental health. She recalled moments when Diana would retreat to Althorp for solace, seeking the comfort of her family when the pressures of royal life became too much to bear. Throughout these years, Sarah remained a quiet source of support. She rarely spoke publicly about Diana, preferring to offer her guidance and encouragement behind closed doors. Yet her influence was evident in Diana's resilience. Sarah had always been a steadying force in her sister's life, and even as Diana's world grew increasingly chaotic, that bond endured. Their conversations, often held in the privacy of Althorp or over the phone, became a lifeline for Diana, a reminder of the grounding presence she could always turn to. The birth of Diana's sons, William and Harry, brought new joys and challenges. Diana's role as a mother became central to her identity, and Sarah admired her sister's dedication to raising her children with a sense of normalcy despite the circumstances. Diana often spoke to Sarah about her hopes for her sons, expressing her desire to shield them from the harsher aspects of royal life. Sarah, who had raised her own children outside the royal spotlight, offered advice on finding balance amidst the chaos. But even as Diana found fulfillment in motherhood, the strains in her marriage became impossible to ignore. Sarah later revealed that Diana confided in her about the growing rift between her and Charles, as well as her suspicions about his relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. These conversations were marked by a mix of frustration, sadness, and determination. Diana was beginning to recognize the limits of her fairy tale, but she was also starting to find her voice, both within the palace and in the wider world. Sarah's role during this tumultuous time was complex. She wanted to support Diana while respecting her sister's autonomy. She understood the delicate balance Diana was trying to strike, remaining true to herself while fulfilling her royal duties. But as the pressures mounted, Sarah saw how the isolation Diana felt within the royal family began to affect her deeply. It was a loneliness that no amount of public adoration could cure, a reality that Sarah would later describe with heartbreaking clarity. The bond between the sisters remained unshaken, even as Diana's life became increasingly entangled in the complexities of royalty. Sarah's quiet strength and unwavering loyalty provided a foundation that Diana leaned on during her most difficult moments. For Sarah, these years were a testament to Diana's courage and determination, qualities that she continues to celebrate and honor in her sister's memory. As the years went by, the cracks in Diana's marriage to Charles deepened, becoming impossible to hide. For the public, the couple still maintained the image of a royal partnership, but behind closed doors, the tension between them was palpable. Diana, who had once dreamed of the stability and love she thought marriage would bring, found herself feeling increasingly isolated. The pressure to maintain appearances while grappling with her personal struggles began to take a toll, both emotionally and physically. Sarah observed these changes with a heavy heart. As Diana's sister, she had always been attuned to her emotions, and it was clear that her sibling was fighting battles few could fully understand. Diana's life, already under constant public scrutiny, became even more challenging as rumors of marital discord spread. These rumors were fueled by whispers of infidelity on both sides, and Diana herself would later confirm the presence of a third person in their marriage, Charles's long-standing connection with Camilla Parker Bowles. For Diana, the realization of Charles's emotional attachment to someone else was devastating. Sarah later recounted how deeply this betrayal affected her sister, leaving Diana questioning her worth and her place within the royal family. It was during this time that Diana began to rely more heavily on her own strength and resilience, qualities that Sarah had long admired in her younger sibling. Yet even as Diana found ways to cope, the weight of her reality was undeniable. One of the ways Diana channeled her emotions was through her work. While her personal life was unraveling, her public life flourished. Diana threw herself into her humanitarian efforts, visiting hospitals, advocating for AIDS patients, and working to ban landmines. These causes became her refuge, a way for her to connect with people and make a tangible difference in the world. Sarah often praised Diana's ability to use her platform for good, recognizing how her sister's empathy and determination had turned her struggles into a source of inspiration for others. But even as Diana's humanitarian work brought her fulfillment, it also highlighted the growing divide between her and the royal family. Her approach to her role as Princess of Wales was seen as unconventional, and her willingness to engage directly with people sometimes clashed with the more traditional expectations of the monarchy. Sarah, who understood both the constraints of aristocratic life and Diana's need for authenticity, often found herself acting as a mediator of sorts, trying to offer her sister advice while helping her navigate the complexities of her position. The media, ever hungry for drama, exacerbated these challenges. Diana's every move was scrutinized, her every word dissected. The tabloids thrived on the narrative of a troubled princess, and their relentless pursuit often left Diana feeling trapped. Sarah would later speak of the toll this took on her sister, describing how the constant intrusion of cameras and reporters made it difficult for Diana to find peace. This lack of privacy, coupled with the pressures of her failing marriage, led to moments of profound despair. Diana's mental health struggles during this time have been well documented, but Sarah's recent revelations offer a deeper understanding of how these challenges unfolded. She spoke of Diana's vulnerability and the immense courage it took for her to confront her pain and seek help. For Sarah, these moments were a testament to her sister's resilience, a reminder of the strength that defined Diana even in her darkest hours. As the marriage between Diana and Charles deteriorated further, the decision to separate became inevitable. The couple announced their separation in 1992, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Diana's life. For Sarah, this was a bittersweet moment. On one hand, she saw it as an opportunity for her sister to find the happiness and freedom she had long been denied. On the other hand, she knew that the separation would not bring an end to Diana's struggles. The media frenzy only intensified, and Diana's status as a single woman in the public eye brought its own set of challenges. Through it all, Sarah remained a source of unwavering support. While she rarely spoke publicly about Diana's life, her actions spoke volumes. She stood by her sister as she navigated the complexities of her new reality, offering advice and encouragement whenever Diana needed it. For Sarah, this was not just an act of familial duty, but a reflection of the deep bond they shared, a bond that had endured through childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. The divorce, finalized in 1996, marked a turning point in Diana's life. Freed from the constraints of her royal marriage, she began to carve out a new identity, one that was entirely her own. She continued her humanitarian work with renewed vigor, becoming an even more vocal advocate for causes she cared deeply about. Sarah, who had always admired Diana's passion and dedication, watched with pride as her sister blossomed in her newfound independence. Yet even as Diana embraced this new chapter, there were moments of lingering pain and uncertainty. Sarah later revealed that Diana often confided in her about her fears and insecurities, particularly regarding her relationships and her role as a mother. Despite her public persona as a confident and capable woman, Diana's private life remained complicated, and the pressures she faced were immense. For Sarah, these conversations were a reminder of the complexities of her sister's life, a life that, while extraordinary, was also marked by profound challenges. She saw firsthand the toll that fame and public scrutiny had taken on Diana, but she also witnessed the strength and grace with which her sister faced these challenges. It was this duality, Diana's vulnerability and resilience, that Sarah would later describe as the defining aspects of her sister's character. As the world continued to watch Diana's every move, Sarah remained quietly in the background, a steady presence in her sister's life. She understood that Diana's journey was not just one of personal discovery, but also one of legacy. For Sarah, supporting Diana was not just about being a sister. It was about helping her navigate a path that would ultimately inspire millions. Diana's newfound independence brought her a sense of liberation, but it also placed her in uncharted waters. She was no longer tethered to the royal family, and the absence of that structure came with both opportunities and uncertainties. As she stepped into her new life, Diana embraced her role as a global humanitarian more fully than ever before, channeling her energy into causes that resonated deeply with her. Landmine eradication, AIDS awareness, and children's welfare became central to her mission, solidifying her legacy as the people's princess. Sarah watched with pride as Diana's influence transcended borders, yet she was also acutely aware of the challenges her sister faced. Freed from the constraints of royal protocols, Diana had a platform that was entirely her own, but it came at a cost. The media, which had always been both a blessing and a curse, now focused on her every move with an even more invasive lens. Paparazzi followed her relentlessly, documenting her private life with a veracity that often bordered on harassment. Sarah later described the toll this constant intrusion took on Diana, who longed for privacy, but rarely found it. It was during this time that Diana's personal life also became a focal point for the press. Her relationship with Dodi Fayed, a wealthy Egyptian film producer and the son of businessman Mohammed Al Fayed, became the subject of intense speculation. The two were photographed together on yachts, at private resorts, and during lavish holidays, fueling a media frenzy that seemed to have no bounds. While some saw Diana's relationship with Dodi as a sign of her reclaiming happiness, others viewed it through a more critical lens, questioning its implications and the motivations of those involved. Sarah remained a source of quiet support, as she always had been, but even she struggled to reconcile the relentless media attention Diana endured. She later recounted how Diana would often call her, voicing her frustrations about being unable to live a normal life. Despite her fame and influence, Diana's longing for simplicity, a life where she could walk down the street without being followed or scrutinized, remained a constant theme in their conversations. The events leading up to Diana's tragic death in Paris in August 1997 still haunt those who were closest to her. Sarah, who had always been protective of her younger sister, was devastated by the news. The car crash in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel claimed the lives of Diana, Dodi, and their driver, Henri Paul, leaving only bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones as the sole survivor. The cause of the crash was officially attributed to a combination of speeding and the driver's intoxication, but the role of the paparazzi in chasing the car remains a contentious point to this day. For Sarah, the loss was deeply personal. She traveled to Paris with Prince Charles to retrieve Diana's body, a journey she later described as one of the most harrowing experiences of her life. In the days that followed, Sarah focused on ensuring that Diana's funeral reflected her sister's dual identity as both a royal and a humanitarian. She played an integral role in the arrangements, walking alongside Diana's sons, William and Harry, during the procession, a moment that captured the world's grief and admiration for Diana's legacy. Sarah's reflections on Diana's life and death reveal a mixture of pride and sorrow. She often speaks of Diana's courage, her empathy, and her ability to connect with people in a way that was both genuine and transformative. At the same time, Sarah acknowledges the vulnerabilities that made her sister human, the struggles she faced behind the scenes, and the toll that fame exacted on her. These dualities are what make Diana's story so compelling and her legacy so enduring. In the years following Diana's death, Sarah has remained steadfast in her commitment to preserving her sister's memory. As the executor of Diana's will, she has worked to uphold the values and causes Diana championed, ensuring that her humanitarian efforts continue to inspire future generations. Sarah has also been a pillar of support for Diana's sons, William and Harry, helping them stay connected to their mother's family and heritage. Sarah's decision to break her silence and share these deeply personal insights into Diana's life has reignited public interest in the late princess. Her candid reflections provide a fuller picture of the woman behind the public persona, revealing both the joys and the challenges that define Diana's journey. For Sarah, speaking out is not just about honoring her sister's memory. It is also about shedding light on the complexities of a life lived under unparalleled scrutiny. Diana's legacy continues to resonate, not just because of her humanitarian work, but also because of her authenticity. She was a figure who defied expectations, using her platform to challenge conventions and connect with people on a deeply human level. Her story, as told through the eyes of those who knew her best, reminds us of the power of compassion, resilience, and the enduring impact of a life lived with purpose. As Sarah's revelations remind us, Diana's journey was as much about her struggles as it was about her triumphs. She was a woman who faced extraordinary challenges but remained true to herself, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. Her legacy, preserved and celebrated by those who loved her, continues to inspire millions around the world. Princess Diana's story has always been one of contrasts, light and shadow, joy and sorrow, triumph and heartbreak. Through Lady Sarah McCorquodale's emotional revelations, we gain a deeper understanding of the woman behind the crown, a compassionate force of nature who carried immense burdens while striving to make the world a kinder place. Sarah's words serve not only as a tribute to her sister's extraordinary legacy, but also as a reminder of the human complexities often hidden behind the glittering facade of royalty. Diana's journey, marked by love, loss, and resilience, continues to inspire millions, and her legacy lives on through her sons, her humanitarian work, and the memories cherished by those who truly knew her. As the world reflects on these revelations, one thing becomes clear: Diana's story is far from over. It is a story of courage, connection, and the unyielding power of authenticity, told now with even greater clarity by a sister who loved her deeply. The people's princess may no longer walk among us, but her spirit remains an enduring beacon of hope, empathy, and change. As we listen to Lady Sarah's words, one question lingers above all. What more remains untold about the people's princess? And who else might hold the key to uncovering the full truth of her extraordinary life? With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.